started work now. He was a lawyer for a long time, became an MP, became a minister, and finally president for 7 years. And you are telling us that no, Edgar Lungu, plus any of your family members, you are not entitled to anything. Anything that you acquired is actually theft. You have to surrender to the state. It is the treatment. I remember that time I had another press briefing where I said, this treatment may not be very good. President Hakainde's Ichirema had a wedding. The daughter got married. And I remember, I think Chief Mkono offered an elephant as a gift. Now, if you are going to have this, it's a no, you must confirm. How did you get it? And then it becomes a serious case of litigation. Is that the order we want to live in? To ourselves. And then look at the stage of Mrs. Lungu. Compare it to Mutinta. Mutinta is the president's wife. And we want the same trend that Mrs. Lungu has gone through. We want Mutinta to go through the same treatment. That's because Chirua's wife, Regina, went through the same treatment. Because to be a president in Zambia is actually a criminal offense. Your family, your wife, everybody must be condemned almost to death. Is that the trend that we want to create? I think this is not correct. Nobody is advocating for people to enjoy freedom with impunity. There will be limitations. But can we make sure that we do these things using the Constitution? I've seen commentaries which are being made by a group of people, possibly from one side. And that gives suspicion. Why? Why do we have comments from one side and almost insulting? Why? Why should we have this type of... We are one Zambia, one nation. We can't have comments or almost insulting individuals. That's because they occupied an office of a president. The worst part is when Edgar Lungu said, no, I think I may return back to politics. Yeah, a horde of insults. Why should you come back to politics? Hey, we know you. Hey, what? This type of behavior is not healthy. It may look to be very exciting now, very joyous, but it's not good for anybody of us to be subject to this type of treatment. Can you imagine? You have a wife, you have the children who have lost out property almost the same time. The house is theft, you store it. A car, yes, you store a car. Everything is theft. What type of life? And are you convinced that a person who has been a president for 7 years, a person who has been a lawyer of good standing for several years, cannot give money to a wife to be? And you must tell everybody that that is criminal, she must lose everything. Is that the trend that you want us to get? This type of treatment, according to the people that I met in Sparta, felt that this is serious victimization. Serious victimization, unfortunately, with no feedback from anybody. Just look at, no, this man, now I think we must go through Parliament, we must sort out how he got the contract. If he got the contract dubiously, there are laws to do with us. Why do you have to shout now, 3 years down the line? So no, you must go back to Parliament to ask how were the laws gotten, how were they used, and so on. No, I want to repeat, you have to avoid the mistakes we made on Chirua. With all the drama around Chirua, what happened? Chirua was acquitted, but Chirua died a very sad person. Chirua died a very sad person with so many accusations. That is not correct. And I don't think it's right for us to pretend that we don't know what the agenda is. And this is why I thought I should get the advice of our colleagues, President Msoni here, President Sean Tembo here, and our young man is representing Mozi Kumawa, to say which way do we go if this is the approach. If the police are going to be used against certain individuals, target them so that certain individuals will sort out political scores, are we doing the right thing? This is the purpose of this press briefing. So I'll stop somewhere. I'll ask my colleagues to come in, that we have a duty to defend the interests or the rights of every individual, including those that have held the position of president. But victimization is not part of our agenda. So at this point, I'll call upon President Msoni to add on one or two things, and we'll proceed in that manner. Mr. President, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mangani. Indeed, a lot of things have gone wrong in our country. Our country is hugely polarized. Our country is hugely polarized. And at some point, we must have concerned legitimate stakeholders raising a red flag. We are raising a red flag while there's still time. While there's still time to avert the course and trajectory that we are on as a country. We are on a very, very dangerous trajectory. We need to change course now. We need to change course now for Zambia. And needless for me to remind my brother, President Hakainde Hichilema, that the traps we set for our friends are the same traps one day we are going to fall in. You, President Hichilema, cannot be a prosecutor and a judge at the same time. You have criminalized everybody. Eh? You have called everybody a criminal without evidence. You've called everybody a criminal. In the opposition leaders, you've called them criminals. So, if we have allegations before court, we must allow the courts the free hand to adjudicate over those allegations that have been brought against individuals. Okay, so throwing allegations or incriminating people by reason of you having a platform, a public space, a public platform, and allege this one is the thief, that one is the thief, I think it takes away from the integrity of the office of president. I think, and I must urge and appeal to him, help us to raise the bar and level of conduct of government business in that office. And I think that he has an obligation to do so. The office of president has been reduced to the lowest ebb, where he goes witch hunting on the former president. I think that should not be the case. And I can say this. The other day, I was talking to one of the leaders in the SADC region. He called me after midnight. I said, you people, you, President Msoni, and your friends in the region, in Zambia, what is it that every time when you change government, it is about Zambia trying to arrest a former president? Is that the precedent you have set for yourself as a country? It was very shameful. It's very shameful. It appears that Zambia is making and hitting international headlines for all the wrong reasons of trying to incarcerate a president. Okay, we cherish a society in which leaders are changed peacefully, and even when they either go into retirement or opt to come back in politics, are given free space to exercise all the enshrined freedoms in the Constitution. Mr. Lungu, like any one of us, like any other Zambia, has the right to enjoy those freedoms which have been guaranteed to every Zambian citizen. So we are perturbed by the style of governance that has been brought under the leadership of President Hichilema. It would appear that there are certain standards or rules for a different category of persons. For example, you are perfectly on firm ground. If you are going to insult the enemy of President Hichilema, the police will not arrest you. You are on perfect ground if you are going to denounce or make tribal remarks, as long as those remarks are those that are considered to be appropriate and you are on the correct side of the UPND setup. So we can't have two sets of rules and laws for the same country. It can't. For example, we have seen young men fit to be grandchildren to President Lungu, abusing him, insulting him on national television. And let me take this opportunity also to appeal to you, our dear friends, the media, that whilst you want to quickly scoop news, but where you think somebody is being abused, please take the opportunity to censor or black out those aspects that demean an elder statesman who has made this contribution. He has been president for this country for 7 years. Surely, I think he deserves to be treated better. So, in conclusion, because I recognize that we have very limited time, in conclusion, let me counsel President Hichilema that as a leader of this country, he has an obligation to help us fix and bring down the tempo, the rising tempo in our country. Let him demonstrate leadership. Arresting President Lungu will not solve all his problems, his political problems. The political problems are bigger than arresting President Lungu. He needs to deal with matters of bread and butter. These are issues which Zambians are expecting. At today's prices, thousands upon thousands of our people are going without food. And these are the issues that I expect my president to deal with each time he has an opportunity to be on the podium. Talk about electricity. Talk about the small traders who literally have fought up or wound up their business because there's no electricity to carry out their business day-to-day activities. So let us concentrate on things that help uplift the living standards of our people. Spare President Lungu from harassment. Spare President Lungu from, excuse me, don't run away, it's not COVID. Spare President Lungu from being harassed in the manner that we have seen. And also let me take this opportunity before I hand over the mic to appeal to professionals and the civil servants, senior civil servants and service chiefs. You are there to serve the public. If you are going to continue to make those political statements that appear to be political in nature and partisan, then you cease to be fit for the purpose for which you were there, for which you were appointed to perform. Because if you, Inspector General of Police, you are going to act like a politician, then I'm afraid you have failed to function in that office. A policeman must be professional in conduct. We are truly embarrassed by that kind of conduct. That shouldn't come, some of the statements should never come from an Inspector General of Police. It should never. So we encourage professional civil servants and those of our friends, service chiefs, to act professional in discharging their functions of office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Msoni. This is an interactive meeting, and it did indicate that among the personalities in front here, we have President John Tim. So it has been thought that leadership cannot be just anchored on old people. We have young men who are running their own organizations. We have a representative of Moses Kumawa, who is here. He will be given a chance to speak. But most important, and I want to emphasize, we want decency in what we want to achieve. And this is not the first time we're talking about these issues. I did remind you that one time I was a Minister of Home Affairs, and I helped President Lungu, President Banda, to aspire for presidency and win. But one important request I made to him, that President Banda, if you win, help to stabilize the country. Help to stabilize the country. At that time, the issue of Chirua was on top. And we could see our colleagues from Luapula and Northern feeling very, very disgruntled about this. We said, if you win as president, that was 2008, make sure that every part of Zambia feels part and parcel of this government. If they are marginalized, you will not be a good president. Settle down the issue of President Chirua. If he indeed has got a case, let the courts of law pronounce it. But the people on the ground, those are our colleagues from Luapula and Northern, took it that this is political mistreatment. So I settle the situation for the people of Zambia and settle the situation on behalf of the people of Zambia. It will help us quite a lot. So it is the same vein that we're presenting ourselves in this manner. May I give chance to Mr. Chanoda to say something.
Thank you so much, members of the press. My name is Chanoda Ngwira. I'm here to represent Kumawa Development Coalition, also known as Umozi Kumawa. I'll try my best to be as brief as possible. I'll be very blunt. Edgar Lungu is our son from Eastern Province. And as Easterners, we will always endeavor to protect and safeguard the livelihood of Easterners. And I have no apology about it, because our pressure group is just the same as those other pressure groups from other provinces, where when they feel one of theirs is being harassed, is being mistreated, they rise up and defend. And this is exactly what us as Umozi Kumawa are doing. I want to refer to the statement that the Police Inspector General issued, should be yesterday or the other day, where he said, as police, they will make sure that they do their job professionally with impartiality. And I want to challenge him that, sir, we have Northwestern Province UPND youth leadership led by one Bruce, who, among the speakers, insulted and called names the former head of state. You've been talking about arresting those that are doing hate speech. We call on you, IG, to swing in action, professionally so, with impartiality, to go and arrest those people that were representing the UPND, using words like idiots on a former head of state who is supposed to be their father, is something that is unacceptable. It is something that us as Easterners are really injured. And if indeed the Police Inspector General of Police, the Police Inspector General says and stands on his words that they act with impartiality, we expect that maybe by the end of the day today, those people are going to be brought to book. As Umozi Kumawa, we wonder, or we always ask ourselves to say, has politics gone to the dogs? We say so because of what we are seeing. What crime has Edgar Lungu committed for him to be subjected to such ridicule, where even the sympathizers of UPND in the name of Chavinga can start calling the former head of state as insane? Not only that, before we even digest and discuss other issues, another bunch of UPND leadership comes on board and start calling the former head of state names. We are on a foundation where our forefathers nurtured this country on the principles of good culture and morals. And I think it is on that basis that we ought to act even as we lead this nation. Inviting your father to go for circumcision is uncalled for. Inviting your father, proudly saying in Northwestern Province, we do circumcision. So we want to call on Edgar Lungu so that he can be circumcised. I'll be very blunt, like I said. That is unacceptable. That is barbaric. And I call upon President Hakainde Hichilema to put his house in order. I call upon Honorable Cornelius Mwitwa, the chief government spokesperson, to see to it that he issues a statement on behalf of government to apologize to President Edgar Lungu. I call on Mr. Liswaniso, who is the National Youth Chairman for UPND. He is also called the Mosquito, to censure or discipline his youths that misbehaved in Northwestern Province. As I conclude, I want to touch the issue where the Inspector General of Police said that it is the duty of the police to protect the former head of state. Quite good. And we appreciate that as an organization, as a pressure group. And we say kudos to the Inspector General of Police. But why did you strip off the security of President Edgar Lungu if indeed you are interested in protecting his life? The moment he came back to active politics, you removed security. You removed everything. Why should it be security or a security concern when President Edgar Lungu goes to Kabwe to pay Katesco on the diocese of Central Province? Why should it be of your concern regarding security when it comes to President Edgar Lungu jogging peacefully? But Inspector General of Police, these jobs are temporal. We've had IGs before. Bwana President, these jobs are temporal, and your term is limited to 10 years, if at all you even make it in 2026 to win, because the Zambians are suffering. We have had presidents before. We have these aspiring presidents here. They also want that office. If you want to really go by what you claimed or what you've been talking about, the rule of law, then, Mr. President, can you make sure that sanity is brought back into this country? You've talked about hate speech, and some people have been arrested saying they've been having hate speech against a certain tribe. I'm not going to mention a tribe, but we all know which tribe they refer to when they talk about hate speech. Can you act as well on the hate speech on Edgar Lungu? Because he's as a Zambian, as a person from Northwestern Province, he's a Zambian, as a person from Southern Province, is a Zambian, as a person from all these other provinces. So this is a challenge. And finally, I want to say that if the Police Inspector General does not take action through his officers, us as a pressure group, we will officially. In fact, why am I even saying that we have to wait for him to do anything? We will report those colleagues of ours from Northwestern Province that insulted President Edgar Lungu. We will make sure that the law takes its course on them. Thank you so much. And at this point, like Mr. Mangani said, we have another vibrant, aspiring presidential candidate in the name of Mr. Sean Tembo, who has also have to say 1, 2, 3, or 4 words. Thank you so much, President.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
countrymen and women, there is a false narrative that President Hakainde Hichilema is treating former President Lungu in the same manner that he was treated when he was in opposition. I want to categorically state that the behavior of Hakainde Hichilema when he was in opposition cannot, by far, be compared to the behavior of former President Lungu in his short spell so far in opposition. To start with, the then Hakainde Hichilema, who is now President Hakainde Hichilema, never acknowledged President Lungu as president. He never referred to him as president. He only referred to him as Lungu. And when you look at all the statements issued by former President Lungu so far, you will realize that he continuously and consistently refers to President Hakainde Hichilema as Mr. President. You see the difference? When you look at the conduct of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema in opposition, take for instance the conduct in Mungu, where he was arrested for treason, something that seems to be too much on his mind up to now. When you look at that conduct, he went and blocked a presidential convoy. An opposition leader, not a former president, just a mere opposition leader, went and blocked a presidential convoy. Has former President Lungu blocked President Hakainde Hichilema's convoy so far?
No.
Now, the problem we seem to have is that in the mind of President Hakainde Hichilema, he feels that the way he was arrested in the middle of the night for treason is the same standard that the police should apply to any other crime. Allow me to do a small lecture to President Hakainde Hichilema and to the Zambia Police Service, especially the Inspector General of Police. When you talk about the crimes which the police fight, crimes come in different categories. Even in our community, muntu akaba hosepipe, or muntu achambama mwana wa neighbor, wazamtumira call out, isn't it? They'll send, the police will send a call out. Why? Because that is a minor offense. In the same community, when someone is accused of murder, munaona police watuma call out to a murder suspect. They don't. The police will stand up, they will mobilize, they will go and pick up that person. Why the difference? Because of the difference in the severity of the two crimes. When you talk about treason, treason is a capital offense. Just like murder, just like aggravated robbery. It's a capital offense. So there was no way that the police at that time could have sent a call out to Mr. Hakainde Hichilema for the offense of treason, because it is a capital offense. And it was necessary for the police to go in the night and fish out Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. But does that mean that for every other minor offense, the police should go in the night and break down doors and fish out suspects? The answer is a definite no. For instance, the police, the Zambia police, came to my house with grinders, with spanners, with all sorts of instruments, and started breaking down the door to my house. And you know what the offense was? So-called use of insulting language, which is a misdemeanor, which even if someone is convicted, the maximum offense is 3 months. Is that an offense where the police would be justified to come and use force in the middle of the night? The answer is no. So the appetite to go and pick up President Edgar Lungu in the middle of the night for the so-called 25 dockets is preposterous, because the alleged offenses do not warrant that. Even the action of the police to come to my house and break down with grinders the door to my house was unwarranted because of the nature of the alleged offense. That was an overreach on the part of the police. Now, when you look at the actions of former President Lungu so far, you will agree with me that he has not committed any offense. So we are not standing here asking for sympathy for former President Lungu, no. We are standing here to assert that former President Lungu should be given his rights as per guarantee of the Constitution, because he is a citizen of this republic. We are not saying that the Zambia police or Hakainde Hichilema should extend any sympathy to the former president. He does not need any sympathy. He just needs his rights as a citizen. He needs his rights to move freely across this country. When President Lungu went to Soweto to go and buy some things about 3 weeks ago and decided to take a walk across town to Cairo Road, Cornelius Mwitwa and his colleagues issued a series of threats and, no, stop tempting the police. Hey, stop doing this. Did President Edgar Lungu commit an offense? To go to Soweto market and ogula vintu, vamnyumba mwao, aenda na mendo. He decided not to use a vehicle. Aenda na mendo all the way to Cairo Road. Is that an offense? For which the government and the Zambia police should be issuing warnings to President Edgar Lungu. Is that an offense? It's not an offense. President Edgar Lungu went to Kawe, where he held an indoor meeting with the bishop. And we saw a series of threats from the Inspector General of Police, from Cornelius Mwitwa, from all sorts of UPND officials. Did President Edgar Lungu commit an offense by having that meeting in the office of the bishop?
No.
He did not commit an offense. So why these threats? Why this harassment? Right now, we have a statement from the Inspector General of Police where he's saying, we are going to summon President Edgar Lungu so that he can explain what he meant by saying there can be regime change before 2026. When you go to Article 108 of the Zambian Constitution, it provides for early elections. It provides for early elections. So President Edgar Lungu did not commit any offense by saying we can have a regime change before 2026. In fact, we need a regime change before 2026.
Yes.
Not that we might have a regime change. We need a regime change before 2026, because this government has failed to deliver to the aspirations of the Zambian people. We need a regime change before 2026. 2026 is too far. We need a regime change before 2026. And now the IG was saying that no, we are going to summon President Edgar Lungu to come and explain what he meant when he said that there might be a regime change before 2026. You don't need President Edgar Lungu to go to force headquarters to explain to the police what a regime change before 2026 means. All you need is common sense to interpret what regime change before 2026 is. So the only time that President Edgar Lungu should go to force headquarters to explain what he meant when he said there can be regime change before 2026 is if the Inspector General of Police tells us, the Zambian people, that he does not have common sense to interpret that simple statement. If he tells us that he doesn't have common sense to interpret what regime change is before 2026, then yes, President Edgar Lungu will go to force headquarters to explain to the IG what is meant by regime change before 2026. Otherwise, there is no need for former President Edgar Lungu to go to police force headquarters to explain what he meant by saying there can be regime change before 2026. The police just need to apply their common sense. Then they will understand what he meant. They just need to go on the ground and ask what the people feel about this government. Then they will know what President Edgar Lungu meant. The bottom line, countrymen and women, is that this country, the Republic of Zambia, this country, belongs to all of us. At any given time, some of us might ascend to the highest office and become president, become ministers, become this, become that. But the bottom line is that those who have ascended to high office do not become more Zambian. They do not become more Zambian than the rest of us who are not in those high offices. We are all equally Zambians. And we are entitled to our rights as Zambians. And those rights are not given to us by the people in government. No. Those rights which we are entitled to are given to us by the Republican Constitution. The Republican Constitution is the one that gives you your rights as a citizen of Zambia. It is the one that gives me my rights as a citizen of Zambia. It is the one that gives President Hakainde Hichilema his rights as a citizen of Zambia or as a president of Zambia. We all draw our rights from the Republican Constitution. So when we enjoy our rights, let's say this right to assemble here, we should not be grateful to any government official. We should be grateful to our Constitution, because it is the one where we draw our rights from. The bottom line is that going forward, we are not going to allow ourselves to be intimidated by those in government, those whom the Zambian people bestowed the power to run the affairs of this country. When the people of Zambia overwhelmingly voted for President Hakainde Hichilema, they did not vote for him so that he can harass his political opponents. No. They voted for him so that he can improve their lives. They voted for him so that he can reduce the price of mini meal. They voted for him so that he can end road shedding. They voted for him so that he can reduce the cost of living. That is the reason why the Zambian people voted for President Hakainde Hichilema. So, my appeal to President Hakainde Hichilema and his government is, can you stop abusing the power which the Zambian people gave you? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There is one important aspect I wanted to, hopefully I will ask either President Msoni or President one of us to address. During the interaction I had in Eastern Province, there was the issue of unfairness. And there was the issue that there's a political graveyard at the cabinet office where the majority of the people who have been laid off are mostly from one region. In this case, without hesitation, preferably Easterners or their member colleagues. And we are advocating for one Zambia, one nation. I think this is our position. We want fairness across, irrespective of where you come from. But there's an allegation that there is a political graveyard at the cabinet office where we just find people, this one is Zulu, Banda, Chireshe, and so on. Why should we have that? This is Zambia for all. So possibly I'll ask President Msoni to say something.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate. In fact, let me say this. I was one of the political leaders that ensured that UPND was overwhelmingly voted for in Eastern Province. The people of Eastern Province bypassed their own President Lungu to vote for President Hichilema. Now, what does this mean? It means that Easterners recognize that any one Zambian citizen can be voted for office of President of the Republic of Zambia. But if you have been given an opportunity to be President of a country, you decide that you are only going to work within a certain section or one region, then it means that invariably you are not a president that represents the whole country. Today we are facing all these challenges in different organizations and state quangos because of poor choice appointments. I hope you all know what I mean when I say poor choice appointments. That you cannot work with anybody else from any other region, but you can only work with people from your village. And I think this is the downfall of the UPND government. The poor choice of appointments is the cause of failure by this government to deliver, because they don't want to work with anybody. In fact, I was the first casualty of the UPND government. When government was formed, I was excluded on the basis that I was an Easterner. Having campaigned for them in the Eastern Province, having ensured that Mr. Hichilema got a difference of 1% vote between President Lungu and himself, and then they decide that we're not going to work with people from this region. So we think that it's in the interest of everybody. If the president can demonstrate leadership, and I beg him that posterity will judge him harshly. Posterity will judge him harshly for failing Zambians. Now, to come to the question where a lot of people have been dumped at cabinet office, those that do not hail from the preferred region, I think this demands that we condemn in the strongest term this conduct. This is clear a recipe of anarchy and lawlessness. But what is so difficult? What is so difficult to work with citizens from other regions? And this is a question that I've been persistently asking Mr. Hichilema. What is his problem really? Where is the problem? Because if you can't work with people from other regions, then you are not fit to be president of this country. It means you're not fit and you're not ready to be president of this country. That's what it means. So he still has a small window of opportunity to reflect and introspect and to put this country back on track and embrace every Zambian. Embrace every Zambian. You, Mr. President, several times when you and me discussed, you said that Zambians cannot vote for you because of the region where you hail from. That's what you are saying. And even on radios, you are saying, no, people don't want to vote for me, even if I have solutions because of where I came from. But look, Zambians lockstep and march together and unanimously voted you President of the Republic of Zambia. But look at your behavior. Look at your behavior. Just look at your behavior. It's shameful that you are refusing to appoint people from other regions. Okay? As I speak now, we have a vacancy in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which he has kept under lock and key, because he can't find someone from his village to appoint. How do you run government like that? Shame. How do you run government like that? How do you run government like that? Work has suffered because he can't find somebody to appoint from his village to be Foreign Affairs. How do you run government like that? Very unfortunate. So we call on Mr. Hichilema to revert back to constitutional rule and to uphold the rule of law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are almost coming to the end, so that to allow a few other questions from you, the media. But I want to emphasize that in Zambia we always center on small things. The composition here is Mr. Msoni, Mr. Tembo, and all of us. I know what are called raised fingers. They say, no, those are troubles, whatever they say, will not achieve anything. For the purpose of the record, you must know the background of each one of us. Mr. Msoni was part of the team that forms the alliance with the UPND. My brother here has been consistent. He argued with President Lungu, and up to now is still arguing with the government that please, can you do the right thing? He worked with all of us. I campaigned for UPND at one stage. So the issue of tribalism is an issue that we don't accept. All these people campaigned for one political party or another because of what they saw were qualities and what was seen to be the promises made. But to bunch us as we are just tribalists who don't know what we are doing would be extremely unfair to the people of Zambia. So at this stage, may I allow the questions from the media, so that if there are issues of clarification on issues we have raised, we'll be more than happy to clarify them. Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay. Can you start?
We'll take three.
Good morning, panelists. Yes, my name is Meshek Nirongo. Got two questions. For Moses Kumawa, what is your objective? Are you trying to propagate tribalism? Then I have another question for President Msoni. The fact that you were part of the UPND alliance, why did you leave? Are you bitter that you're not given a political appointment? Because in reference to the former Southern Province Minister, Zambian politics is all about the belly. So are you bitter because you are not given a political appointment? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Judith Mwape from 5FM. My question is for President Sean Tembo. You, among other opposition political parties, have been very vocal for calling for early elections. And now, if we go back a little, during the 2021 elections, people mainly voted because they wanted to change livelihoods and stuff like that. So my question is, as the opposition political parties, do you have a clear roadmap that will convince the voters to support your call for early elections? Thank you.
I think those are three already.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Is Umozi Kumawa propagating tribalism? The simple answer is no. We have more than 10 tribes in Eastern Province. So I do not think anyone would think that Umozi Kumawa is propagating tribalism. Because if Umozi Kumawa was just for Tumbukas, then yes, would have said we are propagating tribalism. If it was for Chewas only, on Sengas, on Gonis, all these tribes I'm mentioning are from Eastern Province, then we could have said yes, we are propagating tribalism. What is the objective of Umozi Kumawa? Umozi Kumawa basically is a family setup to safeguard the interest of that family. And that particular family is Eastern Province. And how do we safeguard that? By making sure that the inhabitants of Eastern Province are having a good life, enjoying their freedom of expression, enjoying their freedom of jogging, and enjoying their freedom of visiting the bishops and churches everywhere. Thank you very much.
So I think
You know, all the governments, in the life of all governments we've had in Zambia, because I've campaigned for all presidents, with no exception. I've campaigned for all presidents of the Republic of Zambia, including President Lungu, including President Ikirema, including President Sata, including President Banda. I've campaigned for everybody, including President Kiruba. So how many times will I have been bitter? I could have died by now if I'd been bitter, because all these governments left me out. Ms. Msoni is listening. Ms. Msoni is here. She can also confirm to you that I'm not bitter. Am I bitter, Ms. Msoni?
No.
Maybe you want to say something about the bitterness, because this question keeps coming. Tell everybody here how many people I help.
No, he's not bitter. He's not bitter. He just wants to see Zambia a better country. He likes to help people. That's what he does. When you go out in the field and people are talking, he just feels concerned. He wants to help everybody. So he's not bitter. He just sees that things are not working properly and he wants a better life for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I think there's one part that is involving President Tembo. So possibly it's about early elections.
Thank you, Honorable. Do we have a roadmap for the people of Zambia? The answer is a definite yes. And the reason is simple. When you look at why we are suffering the way we are suffering right now, the cause is a matter of common sense. It's not a matter of rocket science, no. It's a matter of common sense. When you look at why government does not have ability to buy medicines in hospitals, the answer is simple. Because we gave away $3.2 billion of taxpayers' money to the mines as tax holidays. That is simple. When you look at the question of why we have load shedding today, why Maraiti siyaona, ugona kulipe Maraiti, uka kulipe Maraiti, but you pay that phone per 100% you're charging it. Why do we have load shedding? It is because President Hakainde Hichilema unwisely decided to sign a power export contract to Namibia, which does not have a clause for us to pull out when we are not able to produce enough. It is a fixed contract. So even in the middle of load shedding, even in the middle of a drought, we are still compelled to export electricity to Namibia. Which reasonable adult thinks like that, really? When you look at why people are hungry due to this drought, you realize that the drought did not affect the entire Zambia. No. Zambia has 10 provinces, and the drought only affected 5 of those 10 provinces. So the remaining 5 provinces could have easily produced enough food to feed the other 5 where there was no rainfall. But why are people dying of hunger in these 5 provinces? It is simply because President Hakainde Hichilema's government decided to take all the fertilizer to their strongholds, the provinces which ended up not having rainfall. And they did not want to take fertilizer to the northern provinces which have had adequate rainfall. At the end of the day, the southern provinces did not produce food due to drought, and the northern provinces did not produce food due to lack of inputs. So, to answer you, madam, do we have a roadmap? Yes, we do. And that is the reason why we are demanding for an early election. I can assure you, fellow citizens, that if we were to call for elections tomorrow, President Hakainde Hichilema would be lucky to get even 10% of that 2.8 million he got 3 years ago. He would be very lucky. Because even his strongholds, in as much as they might not be willing to vote for Sean Tembo or vote for the opposition, they will definitely not have the energy to wake up in the morning and go and vote. So you're going to have a voter turnout of 5% in his strongholds. Thank you.
Possibly the last few questions. Yeah.
Some more questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, then
Yeah. So, my dear colleagues, we want to thank you for this interaction. We will have a number of discussions of this nature. I did indicate to you that this thing came from a place like Eastern Province. What is happening? Why do we have so many people packed up at Cabinet Office and most of them are bandits and Pleads? What is happening? What is happening with Lungu? Every day you open a radio or TV, Lungu has stolen, the wife has stolen, the children have stolen, and they are having this. What is the problem? We have just attempted to say some of the issues, but there are several issues which we have to explain to the people of Zambia. So there will be issues of this nature, or this interaction, even in Chipata, even in other places, just to explain that we are one. What is important, I want to emphasize, we are not advocating for regionalism. We don't want that. We are one Zambia, and we are part of that aspect. We want to advocate for a united Zambia, but everybody must enjoy his or her fundamental rights, not segregative persecution. We will not allow that. So we want to thank you for coming, and once more, if we invite you, please, we may have to continue with other issues, but more importantly, we demand for fair treatment of the former president, fair treatment for every other Zambian. We have a constitutional right for all of us to enjoy. So thank you very much, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
okay, you have come